Being here at 6:25, just some business we have to take care of. So this is our Municipal Building Authority, starting at 6:25. We'll call us to order. You're okay, everyone's here. And we need to start out with an approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections, changes, or I would take a motion to approve the minutes from November 16th, 2021?
I will make a motion of considering the approval of minutes for November 16th, 2021.
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we need to take a roll call or can we do a all in favor? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. All right. And then our business item is to consider a resolution adopting the tentative budget of the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City as amended for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023. And we've given notice, and this is this the public hearing or this is the public hearing?
No,
Okay.
this is
to approve.
Yes.
This is to approve the tentative budget, and we'll set the public hearing date for
Right. That's okay.
June, whatever the next meeting is.
We're just
June.
saying we are setting a public hearing and that's just part of this.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to make sure I was clear on where we were at. Okay.
Okay, so I did a really long presentation on this budget. This is the whole budget. It's one page. So the Municipal Building Authority, as you know, is building the new City Hall. And then this is the first year that Murray City will be paying rent to the Municipal Building Authority for the new City Hall. We will be in the City Hall in approximately March. We will pay the whole entire year. We've got some work to do on that, but that will happen. So right now, the budget consists of rent being received of $1.8 million approximately, and interest income of $40,000. And then we make the bond payment of approximately $1.8 million. And then I have in there right now $10 million of building construction. And as soon as our 60 days go through at the end of the year, we will know how much has been done till June 30th, and I will move the remaining budget forward. And by the end of March, we will have spent the remaining amount of proceeds. I'm sure the building is going to cost what we have left to spend. So anyway, so that's the whole budget. And so there's a resolution before you to adopt this tentative budget and set a public hearing date for the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, which is June. I don't remember what day that is. 21st. That's it.
Any questions or discussion?
No.
All right. If not, I'll take a motion.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve a resolution adopting the tentative budget of the Municipal Building Authority of Murray City as amended for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023, giving notice and scheduling a public hearing to receive public comment before the final budget is adopted.
All right.
I second it.
Thank you. Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. All right. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. And we have 1 minute till 6:30.
All right. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. My name is Gary Harekasi, and I am the council member for District 5, and I'll be leading our meeting tonight. I didn't know my first meeting I'm leading is going to be so well attended, so thank you all for coming to see me. I appreciate it. With that, I call to order our meeting for June 7th, 2022 for our Murray City Council, and I have asked our great staff member Patty Johnson to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Patty. Next, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. So we have minutes from May 3rd, 2022 and May 17th, 2022. Any amendments to those minutes?
I sent a few corrections already, but they've been taken care of.
Okay. Wonderful. If there's no other edits, then I will take a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes as amended for council meeting May 3rd, 2022 and council meeting May 17th, 2022.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Oh, Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, moving right along. So we're moving on to our special recognition, which is why you all are here, or most of you are here. So recognition of individuals who took life-saving actions for a citizen at the Ken Price Ball Field. So we will have Chief Middleman presenting. So Chief.
Council, Mayor, and all of the family and support, thank you for coming out here, first of all. It is an honor to be up here. I'm humbled by the efforts that were made, here just a little while ago to save an individual's life. I need to take you guys back on a little bit of a history and a story to get us here today. You go back roughly about 12 to 13 years ago when a young lady, a young mom at home thought, you know what? Maybe I'm going to go do something cool. And this young lady was Dania. And Dania decided to go to nursing school. She worked up north a little while. And then on that north up in Bountiful, she picked up some great experience in an ER and some different CCU areas to where she got to work in the cardiac units. We'll take that and fast forward a little bit to today for her. And she's now working in a post-op unit over at IMC at our local hospital. Has such a great staff, takes her job seriously, trains on an ever-going basis, not only just for post-op care, but for, in this case, as I've viewed on tapes, for cardiac arrest. Now I need to turn some attention to a patient, which his name is Darren, that was affected. Little shortstop, young man, really young. I think he's probably 23 playing shortstop. Not a day over 24 for sure is the way that it is. And retired just a little while ago. Has a history of family members, father and a grandfather passing away from heart attacks. Was down in Lake Powell. I didn't say I jinxed myself, but I was actually down in Lake Powell week as well. And I thought, well, I don't want to come back now. But if I was, I'm at least in great standing with firefighters close by. But he comes back and goes to play softball at a field. Well, during this softball event, he ends up having a heart attack while playing shortstop over at Ken Price. I had that. Sorry. Murray Park, sorry. Murray Park softball, and I messed that up when I was talking with Dania as well. So thank you for correcting. I just wanted to advertise for Ken Price and for Murray Park. So all right, over at Murray Park, and he's playing shortstop. Well, little does he know, in the background, there's this young Dania nurse that has a husband that's like, no, I need you to just come and watch your boys play softball. Her boys, when she's describing it, I'm picturing boys here. No. She has a shift at 4 a.m. She's like, no way, I'm not going to watch these boys play softball. I've supported them all their growing up years. Not a chance. Well, her husband gets her to go watch them go play softball. And lo and behold, she's in blue scrubs, sticking out like a sore thumb. She wants to go out in the very far back. Ain't going to happen. Husband ain't going to allow it. And so he gets her to go sit on the stands close. As she witnesses, all of a sudden, an individual far across, Darren, shortstop, now on the ground. And what appears to be something bad going on. And as any nurse, off-duty paramedic, or off-duty EMT, anybody sees, oh, that's it, I should go the other way. But no, she doesn't do that. She goes right into action. She jumps out of her seat, runs over there. You're talking probably less than 60 seconds. She's over there, and between the fellow ball players, as well as the fellow bystanders and Dania, they start checking pulses. They start identifying our guy here, Darren, he's in cardiac arrest. And at this point, I want to point out a few folks here. So Darren, if I could have you stand up. And this is Darren. So, and then Dania, if you could stand up as well. And then a couple of other folks that may or may not be here. Do we have any of the other softball players here that would have helped or assisted in that time? You can't be too shy, because I couldn't remember. Okay, and if not, they might be out in the background. And they're already standing because they do it best standing. And that's our fire crew, as well as I don't see Officer Bybee out there as well. Thank you, Officer Bybee. So, all right, you guys can sit down and relax and listen to this awesome. This is a fairy tale story here. So as we get into it, hopefully I have a few minutes to go over some of the details. This is the amazing part. So as Dania starts CPR and she organizes, she recognizes one key thing here is that she can't do this alone. CPR is a team sport. And that's why we need each one of you guys and every single one of you guys to pay attention, to get out and do CPR training, to get out and get that CPR cert, or at least just to come and attend a class. They're on the second Tuesday of every single month here in Murray, but everywhere, no matter where you live, somebody is teaching CPR for free. And this is huge because what Dania puts into place is a cycle of CPR. So she goes, then another person goes, and another person goes. Eventually, we have Officer Bybee arrive, and then he steps right into action. So much of an action, as I'm talking to Dania, she doesn't even recognize he's an officer. He blends in so well. He's just like, boom, just going to play. And as we're out and about, eventually our crew arrives, which seems always like a million times longer than it is. As the crew arrives, they just go right into mode and they start cycling through. And that's what the teamwork. So the teamwork that these guys practice day in and day out, Dania and all of everybody else, including our officer, went into play that day. And that is a crucial thing because on CPR, the circulation to your brain is the most important thing. The fact that Darren could just stand up and he's not in the CCU right now on recovery is a stance and a little vision to say what early CPR can do and what early defibrillation. He would have been defibrillated unless, and actually I got to back up a little bit for both the media and for our council and everybody here. The defibrillation is those patches that you put on, an AED. These guys carry one where they analyze the rhythm and they choose whether or not to shock or not shock. They don't listen to the voice box, but they have those that automatically do that out there for the citizens. They're not scary machines. They actually walk you through CPR as well as doing that. We have 14 of those in Murray City. I would encourage every business. I would encourage every, religious organization. If you don't have an AED, it's a great thing to have. And I don't have any stock in AEDs either. That's the other amazing, no, that isn't it. But anyhow, these devices, they don't start the heart. It gives it a chance. What was going on in Darren's heart is his heart was sitting in there and it was just quivering. And what they were doing is CPR, circulating, pumping blood while it was quivering. As soon as the fire guys got there with their AED, what they did is they stopped the quivering. What that quivering is what you guys see in the movie, which is VFib, which is an up and down, just squiggly line. The movies have it wrong. A flat line, you don't shock. A flat line needs the meds and the CPR. These guys got their, defibrillation to stop that VFib. They started the IVs, they started their CPR, and they continued on, and then they gave them a few meds, And that started up that heart again. It gave it the excitement that it needs, because the one thing that your heart doesn't need is a brain to function as far as with that ability neurologically. It has its own automaticity to go there and excitability. What you guys all did was give that heart a chance to not have a single dead cell in there that was going to be essential for you to keep moving on. So fast forward a little bit more. They gave him a heartbeat back. They got him en route. They get over to the ER. The ER at IMC has great treatment. They spun into action. They threw him into the cath lab. What the cath lab is where they go up and they open up different vasculature that's going to crucially save his heart later on. So he got 4 stents, which are little tiny things that expand your arteries on the heart that feed it. And he got 4 of those stents back in. Woke up later on and says, hey, how's it going? What's going on, guys? And then now is here. To have that is just a miracle. Sometimes things just fall into place. They don't always work out that way. But when we have a chance to identify these parts for a larger crowd and to educate society of how important early intervention of CPR, early intervention of defibrillation, as well as early intervention of getting that 911 going, so important. And what these guys do as a teamwork is just awesome. And we want to thank them for everything that they do. So without further ado, I need to present them a few little awards. So if I could bring, actually, let's start with the mayor and Brooke, and let's get Darren up here first, I think. Or sorry, Danya up here first. But Darren, you're going to come up here. Yeah, you're going to come up here with Danya, because I think that's really neat if you can come up with Danya. So, and I'll turn some time over.
Danya, we are psyched. I mean, this is such a cool thing. And, you know, we appointed Joey. That was my first responsibility as mayor. And I thought, you know, we want to get someone kind of shy. And that was me. I think we failed. So anyway, he does a great job. But Murray City and the council would like to recognize you for all you, excuse me.
So great.
I know. I'm not a good one to do this. But anyway, recognize you for what you have done, literally saved a life. So from thanks from Murray City and the council, we want to recognize you.
Thank you so much.
Now, are we going to have her talk? Okay. So, Joey, can we do some more?
So the other thing that we have are these special recognition coins, the challenge coin. And in this case, it's a challenge to do something with what you have in time of life here. And so we want to offer one of these to Danya, as well as offer one because we need you guys to kind of stay connected. So it might not be a special recognition, but somehow you must have a heart of gold because it's still here, man. So thank you. Thank you so much. So, all right. One big round of applause for them. Are you guys okay standing up here for just a minute? All right. We want to invite our police chief up next, Craig Burnett. And then we've got a special recognition for our officer, and we'll turn some mic over to him.
Brian Bybee. Come on up, Brian. You know, our officers have the basic training, and sometimes they get there and they need to know what's going on and be able to help out as much as possible. So, you know, this, we're giving it to Brian, but there were several other officers that got there after, and we're also part of this. So thank you for your job. Thank you. Thanks.
Brian, don't go too far. We need you up here for a little group picture as well. You're stuck. Police chief gets to leave. You just got to keep filing in. And one more. Congratulations on the coin as well. Thank you. Just to be clear, whenever I have the chance, you know what firemen and police have in common? They both want to be a fireman. All right. Without that being said, I don't have the audience too much. Last time the mayor's ever going to let me allow. All right. We'd like to invite... we're going to start with the officer of their crew, Officer Russ Jensen, Captain Russ Jensen, come on up. And then I believe we have, paramedic Paul Adams up there. Griffin Conroy. And who else is out there? Do we have, and paramedic Ryan Marble. And who else do we got up there? All right, and listen, your captain called you. And Battalion Chief Dave Florin. Come on up. Did I miss somebody?
Nope, that's it for
Okay.
tonight.
All right. So with these fine gentlemen here, let's actually maybe have you three slide this way. I'm trying to help you out, media. I know. I'm not great at it, but I'll do what I can. So with these fine folks, again, teamwork is of the essence. These coins we started up just a few years ago, about 4 to 5 years ago, and we hold them dearly to us. And a lot of times we only get to give them out to firefighters out there. It's a pleasure and an opportunity to have you guys join us in having these special recognition coins. I want to also congratulate these guys with theirs on their life-saving recognition. It's not just them individually. We recognize both Dania and her team. She's up here representing all of the bystanders. It's just a lot to put together. We recognize, as Chief Burnett said, all of the police officers. I can't tell you how many times they have spelled us in CPR out there and assisted us. And we recognize these guys as an entire crew and a platoon. Even their battalion chief, even though he comes up here, he still is an intricate part of these guys. And these guys I want to thank in public, and I obviously thank them in, at the stations with a special recognition coin. And then here, let me actually, here we go. Marble. And sorry, Chief, you got to get one too. And then also with a life-saving certificate there. And these guys are actually off duty right now. They came in on their day off as well as Dania did and Darren. So thank you so much for your time and effort, because this means more to this young man right here than you would ever know. I've had family members and I've met personal folks. And so I just want to say, Darren, thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much.
And it's an opportunity, family. You guys are so awesome for supporting in council. We don't get to do these special recognitions in front of the council all the time. But when somebody offered this, I said, you know what? I think this one's well worth it. And it's pretty awesome. And media, thank you guys for the opportunity to push a message out there of doing that. So with that said, one big round of applause.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay.
So please.
I just want to say thank you to you guys. I have never been so happy in my whole life to see someone get to me so fast. It didn't feel fast, but it was fast. But thank you. I mean, seriously, you guys, thank you. Thank you for jumping in, because you get really tired really fast. Like they said, it was cute because the guys were out and I was on the ground with a couple guys. And I said, do you know how to do this? And they said, no. I said, okay, I'll teach you, as I'm doing CPR. And then I yelled out to the team that was watching. I said, line up. You're going to probably have to help. And all of them were willing to help. And that is what was so cool, is because it wasn't just me. If these guys weren't here and the guys that helped, he probably still wouldn't be standing here. I'm not strong enough and I don't have the endurance. I wish I could say I did, but I don't. But I am so happy. I can't tell you, I am the luckiest lady alive because of him. This has blessed me. I mean, seriously, I am thrilled to have that outcome. And when they put him in the truck, I didn't think he had made it. I looked at my son and I said, he's not going to make it. And I turned my back and I heard someone say, sir, your heart's not doing very well. We're going to take you to the hospital. and I just about died. I thought, oh my gosh, did he wake up? And so that was so cool to think it worked. It worked. And it really worked. And the officer and the fire chief that called me that night to tell me that he was alive, I was so grateful too. Whoever called me, I don't know, but I was so happy to know that. And then I got to meet him, and I am just blessed. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you guys. Thank you so much. And Darren, I keep calling him my best friend because it's just too cool. But thank you very much.
I just first want to tell everybody thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for all those who are involved in saving my life. When I woke up, I just woke up in the hospital with a doctor, and he basically told me I'm one of the luckiest young men who's had a heart attack he's ever seen in his life. He said, I've only seen somebody survive a heart attack like this when these things take place. One, someone took immediate and aggressive action in terms of giving you CPR. They were experienced and knew what they were doing. They broke your ribs as a result of it. And you have the ambulance and those who are involved in paramedics come quickly, and the hospital is close by. And you are fortunate to have all those things come into place, because most people do not survive a heart attack like you had. And I talked to someone just tonight, and they told me, yeah, in his experience in 24 years, it's only happened twice that he's seen it. So I'm just telling you, I'm a miracle, and it's because of people that are here tonight that basically took their responsibility of not just sitting but watching, but actually taking action and saving my life so I can be able to live and enjoy a long life. My doctor thinks that my heart has practically no damage and that I can live a long life. And I plan on doing that now because I have hereditary heart disease, and you heard my father, my grandfather, and great-grandfather all died of heart attacks. But my doctor thinks that I can live a long life now because he went in there and fixed it all. He said, you're lucky now. You have a long life ahead of you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys again so much. So the council can get onto a few other items. We want to welcome media if you guys have an interest in some one-on-one interviews, whether that be with Danya or Darren or anybody else. Then we'll meet you out there in the foyer. Well, it's kind of what do I call it? Sure. Just the patio out there. And then we'll kind of gather around there, and hopefully the lighting works out well for you. So thank you guys again for the opportunity. So.
Yes, thank you. And anyone who came for this, please feel free to exit as well. And just a reminder that Chief did mention second Tuesday of every month. So next Tuesday, June 14th, there will be a CPR training. And it's the Chief's birthday, so be there.
48 South Box Elder.
48 South Box Elder, so hope to see you all there. 48 South.
Station 81, right? Yeah. Okay.
Be there to celebrate the Chief's birthday, if nothing else.
Bring a present.
Turning 21.
And it's next Tuesday. The 14th. No, it was perfect. Thank you. And while everyone else clears out, I want to say to my fellow council members, if you've never given CPR, it is, as she described it, it's one of the hard. I had to give CPR to my father, and it's one of the hardest things you can have to do. And what she did was beyond incredible. So
thank you all for that.
all right. We're going to move forward on to citizen comments. So comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and your city of residence, and then also make sure you see Patty or Jennifer to fill out the required form. So with that, we will open it to citizen comments.
Hello.
I have a document that I wrote a number of years ago. I read it in county council. Sorry, my name is Lawrence Horman. My address is.
We're going to close the door. Give it 1 second.
Yes.
And then we'll be able to hear better.
This doesn't count towards my time.
It does not, Lawrence. All right, Lawrence, you can go ahead now.
Okay. My name is Lawrence Horman. My address is essentially where I'm standing at any given time. I am part of the homeless population of this country and this state. I am quite literally homeless, semi-homeless, and if you've seen a picture of what I call home, you'd know why I say that. Anyway, there is a document I wrote called Addressing the Myths of Homelessness. I wrote it a few years ago when I was, shall we say, agitated and upset about the way the homeless were being treated. Not just myself, but a number of other people I knew. I read this in front of county council 2 weeks back. I do not know if it takes 1 minute or two. I will do my best to be quick and concise, but I hope you'll give me some leeway. Addressing the myths of homelessness. 1, the cities and governments and private entities are making us homeless as much as any mental health or job loss issues. 2, we do not want to be homeless and have worked hard not to be. 3, the homeless are left with no choice but to associate with criminals because A, we are treated like criminals automatically just for being where we are, and B, no one else will listen to us when we need something. That is not to say there are not well-intended who listen and try to help, but we need both those in official and unofficial positions to not only listen, but be more open-minded in doing so. 4, most of society sees us, most of society doesn't see us as human beings, but as stray feral animals that need to be avoided for fear of being attacked. If that were true, there would be many more dead and injured people in the world today. 5, despite popular opinion, most homeless people are not criminals, drunks, and drug addicts, and many of those who are such are attempting to go on the straight and narrow, but keep on getting turned away from programs that would help us to do so. However, there are many who are addicts by choice. 6, far more of us work for a living to get by than most of society thinks, and aside from announcing ourselves as homeless, you could not pick us out of a crowd as such. 7, we live in boxes, tents, trees, abandoned buildings, shipping containers, commercial trailers, campers, and RVs, as well as most other alternative forms of shelter because we have no other place to be. Because, and I quote, we don't want them in our backyard. 8, that is okay with us because, believe me, we don't want to be in your backyard any more than you want us to be. And that is why we live where we do, as stated above. Most of us, number 9, do not live in or go to homeless shelters unless we have to because we don't like being around drugs, crime, and fighting that you hear about in those shelters any more than you do. 10, we are the ultimate recyclers and do not appreciate the looks of scorn and disgust thrown our way for scavenging, dumpster diving to find what others have thrown away. May I continue? Thank you.
You can continue.
We are, sorry, I lost my spot. There we go. We are the ultimate recyclers and do not appreciate the looks of scorn and disgust thrown our way for scavenging and dumpster diving to find what others have thrown away unused or repairable that we can't afford to buy but need or want as much as anyone else. 11, we are not criminals just because we are homeless, and treating us as such when we aren't tends to force us into a position of feeling like we need to become one as we are left no other choice to get along on a daily basis. 12, despite popular opinion, you can and should ask us what we can and should ask us what we need to change our situation and become more productive, functional members of society, because despite the well-known mental health issues that some of us have, even the most mentally unbalanced of us knows what we need to fix our problems, and most of us would do what needs to be done if we felt we could trust others who are in a position to help us to not pull the rug out from under us just as we are getting on our feet. Stop making it necessary to kill ourselves or commit crimes to get your attention. 13, I call on all city, county, and state officials to stop just doing their jobs and start looking for ways they can fill the spirit of the laws intended to keep all of their citizens safe. and find ways to use or change their current laws or put in force new laws to allow them to use the honest, willing, homeless constituent citizens to reduce crime and make their local community safer for everyone, not just homeowners and renters. Stop apologizing for what you can't do and start doing what you can, using all your influence to push others to do what they can. The more trustworthy cooperation from those in authority we get, the more we'll get done and the faster it will go for everyone. And 14, stop making it too expensive for us to go through the legal processes needed to make suggestions for changes to laws or city ordinances or to get permits to make the good things we do and the good ideas we have to fix the problem. We are both trying to fix the problem we are both trying to cure. Thank you. I will say this one other thing. This is not aimed at any one particular entity or any one group, government or private. It is a basic statement of what people who are homeless see, how we see the world, the things that we've gone through. It's a request. It's begging. One of the few things that we will beg for, to get help in a way that will do some good instead of just being told beggars can't be choosers, take what we hand you and walk away. It needs to be done better than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay, we'll close the citizen comment section. We have nothing on the consent agenda, so we'll move on to the public hearings. So first we will have consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2021 to 2022 budget. Brenda Moore presenting.
I'll go over this pretty quickly, just as a reminder. So this serves my last amendment of the 2021-2022 budget, which closes in a couple weeks. We're all looking forward to that. Start a new one and start the financial statements again. So the budget amendment includes the following things. I'm going to increase our sales tax revenue budget by $103,500 and allocate it towards $75,000 towards the fire department. We did the Juneteenth holiday. We are going to pay all police officers and firefighters 8 hours of holiday pay. That will actually come out on their next check. And the fire department doesn't have quite enough budget to cover that because of staffing shortages over the years. They've been rehiring from retirements. So I'm going to allocate $35,000 for that, and then another $40,000 in overtime. Because of the staffing shortages, they have run out of their overtime budget, or are going to in the next 3 weeks. $25,000 are going to go to the recorder's office in part-time wages and taxes. Due to increasing the number of hours our passport services are open. These individuals are part-time and they do process enough passports while they are here to pay their salaries and all of the expenses associated with that, along with a big portion of the wages and other costs of the recorder's office. It's a good service for the citizens because the post office doesn't do that anymore. So that's what that one is for. And then I'm sending $3,500 to the HR to cover a math error that I had in their insurance. And it's very simple when you have a 3-person budget and put somebody in as two-party and they're a family to run out of budget by the end of the year. And I would like not to get written up by the state auditor for that. And then the final and the big one on here is to receive $1 million of ARPA funding for in the wastewater, or in the stormwater, sorry, we already did wastewater, in the stormwater fund, and allocate that for projects. They have one set to go, and this will help them with their cash balance, will help them get this project started a little sooner. It's to, I think, the project they have on the docket for next year is, I don't remember the address, but the street that they're going to work on, they're afraid that it will flood when we get some of our bigger thunderstorms that are starting to happen more frequently now. I think they call it a 10-year storm. So they will start working on that, and it will help their cash balance. They were about to go negative just because of the projects they have been working on. So this will help get them through that, get this project done, and then the fees, as we have already outlined, should catch them up. So this is a good thing. So that's what's in the amendment. Now we just need to get some public comment.
Wonderful. Is there any comments from the council? Okay, at this point, we will open it for public comment, as this is a public hearing. Again, you have 3 minutes. Step up to the microphone, state your name and your residence, and fill out the required form if you have any comments on this piece. Seeing as there's no comments, I'll close the public hearing, and I will ask for a motion, I believe, right?
I would like to make a motion on the ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2021-2022 budget.
I'll second.
All right. Is there any more discussion? Okay, Brooke, call the roll.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, and then we'll move on to the second item, consider an ordinance adopting the transfer of monies from the enterprise funds to other city funds. Brenda Moore presenting again.
I would really like to get away with not having to do a presentation on this, but state law says I have to. So if you have seen this for the last 11 years or however long you've been on the council, I'm sorry, but here we go again. And so for some of you, this will be new information, or maybe not. So this is a public hearing on the transfer of enterprise fund money to other funds. So we take some of the revenues of our power, water, and wastewater fund, only those three, and transfer them to the general fund. And then it's also a discussion of the administrative and overhead costs, where we take some of the administrative costs, like my office, the finance department, the UB billing, which does nothing but bill for utility services, the mayor's office, the attorney's office, IT, those kind of administrative things, and allocate some of those out to the enterprise funds. So the difference, the transfers out, it's calculated based on a percentage of the enterprise fund's revenue, 8%. For my little house, that I actually did the math, it comes out to $64 a year. I have a little teeny house, bigger houses would be more, of course. It is a shareholder return on investment. Not every city has a power company. Not every city runs their water or their wastewater, for that matter. So it is kind of a return on putting the city dollars into that. It does contribute approximately 8% of the general fund revenue that's coming in. And then the administrative cost allocation, they are calculated based on a percentage of the actual administrative costs. They pay for centralized administration, professional service, the finance, the IT, human resources. The estimated cost to the enterprise funds is $4.03 million. So the transfers to the general fund, basically it transfers movement of cash between and other resources from one fund to the other. You have to approve all funds that are moved between funds, all money that goes between funds, you guys need to approve. The purpose, where private sector utility companies are in business to provide a return on investment to shareholders. Murray City shareholders, taxpayers, and citizens receive this return on investment as a transfer to the general fund. intended to subsidize services which would otherwise require an increase in property taxes. As I stated, it's 8% of revenue. Part of the reason we do these, we have a third of the land or the property within Murray City, which is classified as non-property taxable. It is nonprofits, churches, hospitals, I believe healthcare. Some of the healthcare is non-taxable. So, but they do purchase electricity, they do use our water, and they do use our wastewater. So some of the revenue that they put into the system, and they do need services, even though they are not paying property taxes. So some of the revenue that they put in gets transferred to the, just like the homeowners and the businesses that are also buying electricity and various things. So in the 22-23 budget, you can see the user fee revenues that are projected. And we do only transfer based on actual, not my budget. So if we have another dry year and our water revenue doesn't come in this high, we will not transfer. We transfer based on actuals. So the water fund will transfer out approximately $633,000, wastewater $677,000, and the power fund $2.8 million, for a total of 4.177. And then the chart over on the right-hand side shows you the percentage of their revenue that is going out, just so you can kind of get a visual of how much 8% of their revenue is. So this is where, and you're going to see this slide in various forms tonight, but this is where the general fund revenue comes from. Property tax, which is down at the bottom, is 19%. The transfers in is 8%. If we did not do this, the property tax, that square, the only revenue I really have control over is property tax. It would have to become property tax. So and every year you have to vote on it. We don't play with it. We always use 8%. It falls where it falls. I did do the math because I was wondering, would the property tax increase be more or less than how much I'm paying my utilities? For my little house, the property tax increase would be twice as much. It'd be $118, and I pay $64. Now, if you have a big house, I did a $900,000 house. Their utility, they're basically putting in $80, because this particular house, for some reason, doesn't have our wastewater. I don't know why. They're over in well, they're not. They have our power and they have our water, but they don't have our wastewater. I don't know how that works, but his property tax would have gone up $401. So I did do the math, just so that people are aware. And then that is, then I have to go through the administrative. This is the state part. That even though we've already budgeted, we always budget it, because we do transfers, we get to tell you about the administrative services allocation. It is supported by a cost study we did in 2012. I find no need to do another cost study. Nothing has changed. We are doing the exact same things as we did before. So it doesn't seem like we should spend $5,000 to $10,000 to have somebody tell us that what we're doing is okay. The departments considered for allocation are the council, the mayor, finance, utility billing, human resources, the city attorney, city treasurer, recorder's office, IT, and GIS. They all get allocated differently and for different costs. The administrative services that we are allocating is $9.1 million. You can see all of the budgets for all of those things that we are allocating out. The biggest one is IT, because most of that is computers. And then on the other table is how it is allocated. The general fund keeps 52.7%. So it just stays in the general fund, and the rest Power is at 19.6. The library is down there at 1.3, so they get $118,000 allocated to them. There are some funds that we don't allocate to because it makes no sense. Golf, basically because they have a negative fund balance right at the moment. And then some of the other smaller funds. We don't allocate to the internal service funds either, because then we get in an endless loop of of allocations and it just doesn't work. And to put that in perspective of who is what, that's a nice little chart to kind of put that in a picture of who is paying what of the administrative fees. And that is it. Anybody have any questions?
Council, any questions?
No, I just want to say thanks for the presentation.
Yes,
It is
appreciate
good
it.
information. We appreciate it.
And with that, this is a public hearing, so I will go ahead and open it for public comment. Seeing as there's none, I'm going to close the public comment and I will take a motion.
I move we approve the ordinance adopting the transfer of monies from enterprise funds to other city funds.
I will second.
Perfect. Any more discussion, council? Okay, Brooke, call the roll.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, we're moving on to our last item on the public hearings. So a public hearing on the city's tentative budget as amended for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Brenda Moore presenting. Busy night for you, Brenda.
You can pretty much call the first meeting of June the Brenda Show. It happens every year. Yes, I mean it's just the way it happens.
And we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yep.
Just Brenda's been a great asset to us as we've gone through this budget stuff.
So I thought I would recap some of the budget items, and then I found some slides from a presentation at the GFOA conference, UGFOA conference down in St. George, from a gentleman named Phil Dean. He's with the Kem Gardner Institute. He did a thing on the economics that's happening in Utah and around.
What's GFOA?
Government Officers Finance Association, and the U, put the Utah in front of it, Utah Government Officers. So we go down there and we have presentations by the auditor and, you know, earn our CPE credits to all keep our licenses.
Those acronyms just drive me crazy.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so this was one of his slides. It was kind of setting the stage for how the economy is doing. And what he was thinking the economy is doing. So our economic disruptions are continuing, constraining our goods supply. If anybody has tried to pour concrete lately, they know. It's why all your roads are halfway. They're dug up, they're waiting for concrete. There's massive fiscal and monetary policy responses continue to support strong demand in some areas. Accelerating inflation is spurring interest rate costs. With wages below equilibrium, labor shortages continue and will continue until wages rise. And then I think that means that some people will return to the workforce. I don't know how that works. Utah's underlying economic fundamentals remain quite strong despite challenges, and we do have challenges. It's kind of a graph of the sales tax. As you guys know, every month I send you a little report, and the month year over year was going, I mean, it's averaging about 13. 2 months ago for February sales, it was 20 something percent and 30%. The last month it was up 8%. I haven't gotten it yet. It will be, I'm guessing it will not be up nearly as much as it was. People have had to stop spending. But our sales has grown rapidly and our sales tax has. But we have some tax takeaways. The household balance sheets, his thing is very strong overall, but not everyone has benefited, and some are being left behind, as we know. With lower debt obligations, there's some increased capacity to spend, but I think in the last 2 months, it's probably been spent all on fuel. Great uncertainty about when households will spend their savings that they have accumulated. But his biggest takeaways are there is some of the sales tax that will be ongoing revenue. It's probably unwise to plan real budget growth rates like has been experienced in our last few years. And then we're supposed to help you realize that that sales tax is illusionary. It's not. It's out there now, and what we gained this year, we will use for one-time projects next year. Stuff like the armory, the mansion, the theater, the police cars, that kind of stuff that we only need to buy once in a while. His other economic thing was jobs, jobs, jobs. If you want to know why you can't find anybody, there are 33,000 unemployed Utahns and 79,000 jobs. So that's why we can't staff as well as we could. And then his other budget brief, both skilled and unskilled labor is increasingly hard to find. A portion of the labor shortage is due to retirements. Other portions can be expended by real wage increases. And his big takeaway was focus on keeping your productive employees. It's probably much easier than finding new ones. And he's mentioned the taxes again on this slide. It was like that was every slide he was going to do it. And then he did have some warning signs. Consumer sentiment has been dropping and probably has dropped even more with inflation. Okay, now let's get to our budget. A couple reminders about the budget. My best estimate is the city will finish the fiscal year 22 year at around 28.2% in the general fund reserves before the year-end transfer. And then I will do a transfer and move that down to 26%. And we will use those for capital projects and facilities maintenance in the future years. The budget is set to use reserves of $465,000. And it will finish, well, I'm projected to finish the year at 25.8%, which is still good. Used to be 25 was the max. The city will recognize and receive the ARPA funds, $2.8 million, and we'll transfer those into the capital projects funds for future projects yet to be determined. The first bond payment of $1.8 million on the new city hall is being paid in this budget, which means the general fund is making its first rent payment for the use of the new city hall. At the end of 30 years, the city hall becomes the city's instead of the MBA's. That's just written into or when we pay off the loan, whichever comes first. And we have never not paid off a loan early. Although the interest rate is so low on this one, I'm not sure. Our revenue. There is a $1.4 million or 15% property tax increase in this budget. This equates to a $69 yearly tax increase to a total of $532 on the average residential property assessed at. This is not what you could sell it for, but this is the average that the county assessors said they assessed our residential property at. Okay, which was $523,300. That was up 28.5% above last year, just so you know. It's $5.75 per month. Now, if everybody is thinking out there that your property tax is automatically going to go up because your value of your house went up, the city is only guaranteed, unless we do a truth in taxation, the same dollar amount we got last year. So your value went up, the property or the values of everybody went up, the tax rate will go down and the city will get the same amount of money. Now I am asking for $1.4 million more. They will figure out all the values of the property. They will take what we had last year, add $1.4 million, and then do a fancy calculation, and the tax rate will be what the tax rate is.
So based off of what we approved the last meeting, that's at 15%. Is
Yep,
that correct?
It's 15%.
Okay.
Sales tax, it's not going to continue. So what I did was I went back to 2019, looked at what we had been growing, and just said, we're going to grow. We should have grown 3% a year since then. That's what I budgeted. Hopefully I'm wrong and it was 4%, and then we'll not use reserves, but I can't imagine that it's going to keep growing. I know. I'm pessimistic. Some charges for service in the general fund have been raised due to demand. The charges for services in the water, wastewater, stormwater were increased due to previously approved rate increases. There are no fund rate increases within this budget. So the rate increases you have already done, and all other revenue is budgeted conservatively. Just a quick, this is where your property taxes go. I finally figured out how to do this. It was quite exciting. If you are within Murray School District, 57 cents or 57% or 57 cents of every dollar goes to the Murray School District. 19 cents goes to the Salt Lake County. 16 cents goes to Murray City. We are not asking for an increase in the library. They are at 4 cents, and other, which is the mosquito abatement and the Conservancy, Central Utah water people, they get 4 cents. The ones who run all of the dams in the state, I think, is pretty much what they are. And then outside of where Granite School District is. Granite School District is a little more expensive. They're at 59 cents per dollar. Salt Lake County then is 17% because the school district is higher. Murray only gets 13 cents of your dollar. You have some water and sewer over there, depending on where you live, property tax. And then the Murray Library gets 4 cents. The interesting thing about the library, everybody in the county pays a library. If your city has one, you pay your city library. And if you do not have a city library, you pay the county. Luckily for us, our library rate, property tax rate, is lower than the county property tax rate. So we actually save a little money. It's not a lot. So a property tax increase is needed for these reasons. I think I already stated that when property values increase, Murray is just guaranteed the same plus whatever new growth we happen to have every year. Property tax growth has averaged $109,000 per year since 2018, which is barely 1% of our property tax a year. That doesn't keep up with inflation. The personnel budget for public safety alone, police and fire, has increased 17%, or $3.2 million since our last property and tax increase. That is just the salaries for fire and police. We are not having trouble keeping them. We're finding them now that people are retiring. But there has been lots of upward pressure on their salaries. Other cities have had trouble keeping, they raise their wages, and we have to raise ours in order to keep our, it's a cycle. We are average in our wages for our public safety. In 2018, the last property tax increase was 45%. The city was asked to do more frequent and smaller increases, but due to the pandemic, no increases have been done for the last 3 years. So we're on year number 4. The city is too dependent on sales tax, and within the sales tax, too dependent on cars and trucks, which is not stable. If we hit a major recession, people will stop purchasing vehicles. I've been thinking that they would during the pandemic, but then they bought RVs instead. And luckily we have a couple RV dealerships too. So we need to, this will just shift that mix just a little, not a lot, but it'll shift a little. Some other things, but the personnel, the step plan was funded, 7% cost of living increase was funded, the medical and dental insurance increase. The one thing I want to mention is we are continuing to pay the employee portion of the Tier 2 public safety. I didn't mention this before because I didn't realize that we needed to actually pass something on that. You'll see it on the June 21st meeting. Instead of making our employees pay for some of their retirement, we pick it up for them. And there's just the public safety employees. It's 2.59%. All of the other cities do it. Most of all of the other cities surrounding us do it. If we don't do it, there's that other thing that they may leave us for. You would be surprised, but 2.59 is something. We have 5 new positions, including a police officer, a concrete crew. They promised me they will be able to get concrete when they have the crew. We got about 6 weeks left of that shortage, they say. A lead recreation coordinator, the theater manager, and theater tech supervisor, which will come in on partway through the year. We did some adjustments, the fire captains, battalion chiefs, city building official, and building inspectors. And then general fund personnel increased 6%, and the others increased 7% with all of the adjustments that we have done. So there was no change. I did a little math. I adjusted out the firefighter. When they go to California to fight fires, they get a huge influx of cash, or not cash, but reimbursement, rent on the trucks, and they pay all our salaries and our overtime for all the people here and there. So I did the math, and our operations budget is actually staying flat. It didn't decrease, but it also didn't increase. So one thing to note in power is that their purchase power costs budgeted is increased by $2.8 million. They're going to use reserves this year to cover those costs, but they are planning a master plan study. They're going to do a master plan for power, and they are going to do a rate study because they have not had a rate increase since 2011. And the cost of energy with the drought may require us to look at possibly having to do a rate increase. Don't know yet. They got to do the study first. CIP fund, total projects 15.8. The important one that everybody was interested in is the Murray Theater. You can look down the rest of them. The park storage building is going to be important if we ever do anything with that ice rink. They are storing a bunch of stuff over in that area. And then the plan is to turn the old armory into a really cool indoor meeting space, like an indoor pavilion with a kitchen and all that fun stuff and restrooms. I've been looking over there, and that will really flow into that park really nice. Of course, we're funding police cars. Fire equipment is more expensive than police cars, so we're funding them. They always get a little more money than police. We're updating a lot of playgrounds. If you haven't noticed over the last, since we've been funding our CIP plan, they have been funding new playgrounds. Some of that is because they can't find parts for the old ones anymore. They're so old. And then street projects, $3.3 million in street projects, and then ongoing maintenance, and then other projects. So budget overview, very quick. The funds that are using fund balance, that is for capital mostly. And the capital projects fund is supposed to always use their fund balance, so that's why it's going down. The power fund is doing a whole lot of capital, so their fund balance is going down. The general fund summary, which is what everybody always seems to be most concerned about. as I said, we're going to start at 13.9 approximately in fund reserves and end at 13.43. Use $466,000 of reserves. I'm not too concerned about that. We've got enough reserves sitting there. And if the world falls apart, we have a CIP fund that we can stop doing CIP and use that to keep our services at the level that they are. Where our money comes from, that looks very familiar to the one before. I did add some numbers to that. And then just where the general fund money goes. Police is in the one upper corner, and fire. They're the two biggest ones, Parks and Recreation. And then debt and transfers out, Public Works. Public Works in the general fund is basically salaries. And some projects, all of the projects are done out of capital projects. Any questions?
Council, any questions?
Great presentation.
Yes.
Great job.
Love the
Brenda, thank
dollar
you.
one.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
Love it.
I want to make a statement. I'm thinking back, and I think I'm correct on this, but you think of every email you've received from Brenda since the pandemic, and she always says, and I can't believe how our sales tax keeps rising above than what she thought. I don't think you've ever thought that we were going to be above. I know you're very conservative, but I think that's always been impressive that our sales tax have grown all through the pandemic. So
please keep buying.
And the car dealerships, my friends that own dealerships, they've had banner years. So they're doing great.
Not all of us have friends that own dealerships, but it's just the mayor. That's just who the mayor rubs elbows with. And with that, since this is a public hearing, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing portion. Any public comments? Okay.
Just a request. Brenda, when you do these things, for those of us who are a little less knowledgeable, could you explain the acronyms? Because we look at them and go, Just a request.
Definitely. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing, and there's no action to be taken on this. We have Truth in Taxation coming up. Let me just double check. Jennifer told me on August 9th. So that is when we will vote on the budget. Anything else in between now and then on the budget? Okay. All right. With that, we'll move on to business items, which there are none. And then the mayor's report and questions. So Mayor Hales.
I just want to say thank you for allowing to recognize Dania. That was really cool. That was a neat experience, and I just think we need to do more of those. Those are awesome. They bring a lot of positivity, which we need in our world. So that's it. So thank you for all you guys do.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming from a couple of constituents. They're just wondering what's happening on the flag, on the Murray flag.
Tammy. Nothing right now. We just really haven't done anything on that flag yet. We've looked at some other flags. I mean, we've looked at flags all through the state. Haven't found a single flag that we even like. So
Do we have to take from somebody else's flag, or
say that again?
Do we get to design our own flag?
Well, we might do what we have talked about doing, a competition.
Oh, perfect.
And allowing maybe even students, or I don't know if it just has to be students, but anybody. So anyway, but we've had a lot going on with this budget, but we have talked about, we have looked at flags, but as of right now, we haven't moved forward.
It's in process. Can I tell them that?
Absolutely. Really, we have looked at it probably 10 different times, discuss that. So
Okay. We don't want you to forget.
We are not forgetting. Thanks.
The Murray flag. Thank you, Diane. Anything else from the council? Any other things that people want to talk about? And I know Jill told us in a meeting when we were in a training session that we needed to close the meetings with a vote. So I'll do that first thing. He said that's the proper way to do it. So can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
at 7:40.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We're adjourned.